Welcome back to Digibros, everybody.
On a cold winter morning, in the time before the light.
Yep. Are you trying to say that you are in the Valley of the Damned right now?
Dragon Force! Yes, I'm in the Valley of the Damned.
We've told our Dragon Force story before, right?
I don't know.
I know we did on GameCube chats.
I used to hashtag like Dragon Force. It was my favorite band. And then we went and saw them one time, and they were just kind of dickheads, and they were like spitting all over the audience, and it was like, I don't like these guys anymore.
And they sucked.
Yeah, and they sucked.
Because they were
like
drunk
playing
as
the
shit.
wrong parts of the songs and stuff. They looked like they didn't want to be there.
I guess there's an awareness amongst people who talk about Dragon Force that there's two different versions of live Dragon Force. There's good live Dragon Force and bad live Dragon Force. We saw both. And we saw the good one first, and it didn't set us up with the right expectations for the other one. Yeah. Because, and this might sound like, this sounds like I'm oversimplifying or like reading too much into it, but I promise you this is exactly what the difference is. Good Dragon Force was during the day.
Huh,
and
you're
bad
right.
Dragon Force was at night.
You were right.
Because the Dragon Force members all do lots of drugs and drink a lot. And if you see them early in the day, they are technical and they can play their songs and they know what's going on. If you see them at night, they're fucked up. And that's the difference. Because the first time we saw them was at Ozfest, and they were like the opener for the main stage. So they went on at like 3 p.m., you know, and they had just gotten back from the autograph booth, you know, where they'd been sober. And they were great. They were bouncing on trampolines and playing all the songs right, and we loved it. And Victor was the biggest Dragon Force fan in the world at the time. We got their autographs on pictures of them. You ran up to the table, and Victor gets up, and he just points at them and goes, Dragon Force!
Yeah, I didn't know what to say. I was like, Dragon Force!
That's us. That's hilarious.
It's pretty funny.
You were like 14.
It's pretty 14
probably.
thing to do.
And then a couple months later, they were touring for Ultra Beatdown had just come out. And they're touring for that album, and we went to see them live. Cynic opened for them. They were great. Dragon Force comes out. All of them are clearly fucked up on something, or like half of them are just drunk. A couple of them are obviously on like drugs. You know, they're all playing off time from each other. Like, I mean, because the drums in Dragon Force are just blast beats, and so the drummer guy is just blast beating. He's not even trying to like to match up with anybody. He's just playing blast beats the whole show. Everyone else is just disorganized and shitty. Guitarist is playing the wrong parts. I saw him mouth to somebody. They're all sound the same anyways. You know, singers spitting water all over the crowd and shit. Gross.
It sucked. It was obnoxious.
Victor had like a nauseous.
That's when I started getting really sick at concerts for some time. I would just get like really fatigued.
Every time we'd see a show, Victor would get sick. So Victor's like sitting off on the side, like after like one song. Victor's like sick. He can't even get up for his favorite songs. I'm like, dude, Victor, they're playing Valley of the Damned, and you're just like, I can't get up. Yeah. And it was miserable. It was the worst show ever, and I deleted all their music from my computer, and have not listened to them consistently since. Valley of the Damned's an alright song, though.
Yeah.
And Fire and Flames is alright. Most of their music does sound exactly the same. Because it's like,
let's go fight this guy.
They're all basically the same song, so just pick the one you like the most and fuck the rest of their songs. Yeah. You know? You can just get all the emotions you need from that one song.
You ready for a fucked boss?
Which is why Galnerius is the good version of Dragon Force. Because you listen to Resurrection and, like, Burn My Heart and Destiny are both, like, Dragon Force style songs. Like, the same kind of structure and everything. But better than a Dragon Force song. But then the entire rest of the album's different. You got songs like fucking...
You check out the Spooky Man.
I don't remember what it's called. Track 5, which is incredible. It's like a groovy... what am I thinking? What's the word I want to use? I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. What is this? What's happening?
It's a scary big man.
You got me on a fucking Dragon Force tangent. I don't remember what's going on in my life anymore.
I don't know. People are killing themselves on Netflix and shit.
Yeah.
Netflix is fucking tragic. I hate Netflix. They are the A1 pictures of American television. Oh my god, my nose.
You've said this a few times.
But they fucking... Okay, this is the worst show I've ever seen in my entire life. Bill Nye Saves the World.
I've been hearing people shit on this.
I'm glad, because I haven't heard anyone else talk about it yet. But I watched a few episodes of this show, and it is the worst show I've ever seen. For multiple reasons that go deeper than just being a bad show.
It's a shame, because Bill Nye has had such an unsullied reputation.
He's dead
all
to me.
These years.
Bill Nye is thoroughly dead to me because he could even be a part of this show. It's disgusting.
Bill Nye is one of those dudes who, he's a pop science guy, not unlike Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah. And now he just is Neil deGrasse. He's just another Neil deGrasse Tyson with a different hat.
Like, everyone hates, well, not everybody, but a lot of people hate Neil deGrasse Tyson because he's a pompous dick who ruins fun, and he wasn't on an endearing children's show that we all watched growing up and loved. Bill Nye has had this reputation as like, well, we can't shit on Bill Nye. It's Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yeah, he's fun, and you don't take him that seriously, Yeah. But then he became like this singular voice for science because he's the only one who he goes on every single show and talks about science shit. Yeah. And you just kind of assume he knows what he's talking about because he's a scientist or whatever, But then, okay.
Yeah, get into the bone.
This fucking show. Like, it kind of tries to capture, like, the aesthetic of the old show where it's kind of like a goofy talk show kind of thing. It's very much feels like it's inspired by Last Week Tonight and kind of writing that trend of,
That's what I was kind of afraid you were going to say. It's
liberal, patting yourself on the back fun. But, like, what's so fucking tragic about it is that he's basically just going down a laundry list of Netflix documentaries and then, like, briefly covering what they're about. Like, the episodes I watched were about, like, global warming, about, like, gender identity, Monsanto.
Of course.
It was basically GMOs, which is, genetically modified organisms, which are not inherently bad or anything. But, that's beyond the point. Where this show is fucking stupid is that it gives you, like, a fucking fingertip knowledge of these things. Like, if you don't already know about all these things, you're not learning anything. You're learning basically the definition of the word and nothing beyond that. And then it's like, he'll kind of introduce a topic, explain it in the worst possible terms, the vaguest, worst terms that anyone who is even slightly educated on these things already knows. And then he'll be completely condescending and make it out like,
that's the part I was afraid of.
If you don't know these things, you're an idiot. Like, you must be an idiot. And it's like, okay, so you're making a fucking educational show. You're already failing by not going in depth with the topics. You're failing again by calling people who don't understand these things idiots, basically. Yeah. Like, almost outright calling people idiots.
Why does the left not understand that condescension is not helpful?
It's like, okay, this show is clearly just for people who already care about these things, Because, like, anyone who isn't educated on this already isn't learning anything. They're getting shat on, so they're not going to feel inclined to listen to you. Why? Why would you make the show? It's just so you can sit there and be like, yeah, that's right, Bill Nye. You sure reaffirmed my basic knowledge of this thing. It's disgusting, and it's just poorly structured, dumb as shit. It tried to do like the street correspondence gags like The Daily Show does, but they're really like horrible. And like he'll go on the street and they'll like ask people like, oh, what do you think about GMOs? And they'll be like, clearly they'll sit down for like 5 minutes and talk about the segment and be like, clearly people don't know what the fuck GMOs are. Aren't they stupid? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous, and it just pisses me off so much. Like, I was literally during the transgender issues one, I was just like actually fucking fuming, ready to just go on a Twitter tirade about this shit because of how poorly he represents the issues, barely talks about it. He'll get like a panel of relevant people to talk about things, and then he'll just like he'll like make little jokes between everything they say and just play it off like these issues are like nothing. Like, these are really important issues that people get really heated and passionate about, and he's just making little jokes about it like it's obvious shit that everyone should know, and if you don't get it, you're clearly just completely uneducated. And it's weird. and it's pointless, and it just feels like a step backwards from anything anyone is doing.
Yeah.
And it hurts. It really hurts. I wish I could just put an episode on and like actively break down what pisses me off so much. Like, you gotta see it.
Are you going to fight him now?
And I just don't get it. It's like, you could have used the research, you could have used the budget. The show seems like it has an enormous budget and like celebrities and stuff. You could have used all of these resources to actually make a show that benefits someone, that actually says something.
Yeah.
Something educational. Why am I gonna watch this when there's 100 Netflix documentaries that say these same things and actually go in depth? Why are you gonna? They actually got one of the executives from Monsanto on the show to talk about fucking GMOs, and they don't say anything. They don't fucking say anything. Stupid, man.
It's rare to see you go on such a tear that you don't even acknowledge that you just beat a boss and instigated whatever the fuck is happening.
The boss only gets worse.
This is one of the most like insane cutscenes in a Dark Souls game. Like, yes. I was already shocked that there was so much blood and all this shit, and like it's gruesome, and now it's just like, what the fuck is happening? This is madness.
Yeah, I think we killed this guy's daughter or something.
Yeah,
but she's not dead. This fight is fucked.
This is insanity.
Pretty cool, but I get a partner.
Oh, she's rekindled.
Yeah, because she's also an ashen one, I think.
Oh my god, this is fucked. This is so fucked. This cutscene is fucking awesome. Yeah, so man,
fuck Bill Nye.
I'll go on a bit of a rant too, because I'm slowly growing to hate Last Week Tonight.
Yeah,
with John Oliver, and I think it's because, okay. You and I, we grew up in a staunchly leftist household.
Yeah.
This is fucking ridiculous. You have to fight both of them at once. He's stuck to his chair. I was like tied to it. Yeah.
Where's
so
my partner? I summoned the guy and he didn't come.
We grew up in a very liberal democratic house.
Yes.
My mom is very staunchly anti-Republican. My dad doesn't really care either way, but my mom is she's the type who anything a Republican does is automatically retarded because a Republican did it. Like, always guilty until proven innocent, and you're never going to prove them innocent, because if they do something conceivably right, there's got to be a dark cloud that silver lining surrounds, right? We grew up on lots of The Daily Show and shit like that. So, to me, listening to, like, liberals shit on conservatives was just typical, you know? It's just something I'm used to.
Exactly.
But
it was always kind of like, oh, these people are obviously ridiculous, retard rednecks.
Because that's how they present them. They'll present, like, if not for the change in perspective I'm going to present, I would go my whole life, you know, think, like, the whole Donald Trump presidency, thinking Donald Trump is a raging retard.
Yes.
Like, he is just an absolute retard. Everything he's doing is evil. The entire half of the country that voted for him are just fucking idiots. Yeah. That's what I would think.
And that's what, like, John Oliver's show leads you to believe.
Yeah. That's, if I was just watching his show, that's all I'd be getting out of the Donald Trump presidency. He's a raging retard, and everyone who voted for him is a fucking idiot. A bigoted retard, right?
Yes.
Well, it just so happens that in the last year and a half or so, I've made friends with conservative people. I've been following Dick Masterson, who is a libertarian conservative, who is a big Trump guy, you know. Started following Razor Fist more recently. And there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of good reasons. Conservatives aren't all a bunch of crazy fucking rednecks.
Yeah, because we're all human beings.
Yeah,
and
they're
we're
just
all
guys.
intelligent.
They're all just guys who have something they want.
This has been my kick lately, which is looking at different perspectives. Which is why another thing I wanted to talk about is this documentary on people who make porn, which I won't talk about now. I guess I can talk about it later. But it just plays into, like, that's a perspective that nobody knows. You know, people have a stereotyped vision of what those people might be like, which you're gonna imagine smutty kind of people, and it's like they're just regular adults. They're just young people trying to get by.
Everyone's just people.
Yeah, everyone's just people. They're all the same.
And that's the thing. Everyone's trying to other themselves from each other. And I mean,
yeah.
when Trump got elected, I ranted about this. I had a whole video where I was saying, like, look, this is all of our fault because we didn't try to listen to each other.
Yeah,
we did not. We made no attempt, and I was a part of this because the whole Trump election, I was the guy who kept saying, "There's no way he'll get elected. He's a cartoon character."
Exactly.
You know, like because that's how he's presented to me by the media and by the left, is that he's a goofy cartoon. Well, guess what? There's a reason that all these people were in support of this goofy cartoon man, because he was selling something that the other side wasn't, you know?
Yeah.
And the other side made no attempt to understand why that was something anybody wanted.
Everyone just yelled at him, you know? Just called people idiots and unfriended them on fucking Facebook.
Yeah.
And then you get no communication on either side.
And I'd say the turning point moment for me is there's this YouTuber I follow called Jonathan Pye, who's a comedian who is a British liberal who is always ranting about political stuff, right? Like with a semi-comedic switch. His whole thing is that he's a news broadcaster who, like, the idea is he's a news broadcaster who every time the cameras go off, he goes on rants.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, the video will fade in with him at, like, a location. He'll be, like, finishing a story, and then he'll just start ranting as soon as the cameras off. So he, when Trump got elected, he went on this big rant about how it was all the liberals' fault. Like, he is a liberal, but he's like, this is our fault because we did nothing. Like, we chose the worst candidate. We chose a candidate who was going to alienate the other side as much as possible. We didn't listen to them. We didn't try to meet them across the aisle. We just treated them like it was a big fucking joke because we thought we had victory in the bag, and we didn't, you know. And ever since then, there's been a lot of people on both sides talking about this. If you listen to Razor Fist, you know, he has lots of really well-reasoned, well-argued ideas about why he supports some of Trump's policies. And I'm like, shit, man, you know, this is an extremely articulate and intelligent guy, you know, in support of Trump. And when you listen to his reasoning, you're like, I totally get why you'd think that way. I totally get why someone with these who thinks this way about politics would want to vote for this guy. You know, I don't necessarily agree. Hey, you got a slab.
Are you ready?
Oh, it's about
for part 3.
It's about to get shit fucked. So was that the end of the first DLC?
No. There's still the rest of the boss.
Oh. There's a third.
She comes back with a second weapon and becomes
oh man.
What's her name? The blood boss.
Maria?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you listen to Razor Fist and you go, okay, conservatives exist for a reason. They're not a bunch of fucking retards. And not every decision that Trump makes no sense. Like, sometimes Razor Fist will just straight up explain one of these ideas that, you know, Trump himself, when he says it, it sounds retarded because Trump will explain it in a...
He's bad at explaining anything.
Yeah.
So it all sounds like retardation.
Well, and that everything he says gets taken out of context, and people focus on the dumbest part of what he said, you know, as opposed to what's the point, and, like, try to figure out why would he do it, because why would he make dumb, uninformed decisions?
Yes.
You know, this is a world-class businessman. A guy who's been making deals his whole life, who's all about strategic maneuvering. I think there's probably some strategy behind what he's doing. You know, nobody just takes shots in the dark and wins the fucking presidency. That does not happen. You know, like, there's obviously some calculation here. You don't have to agree with the decisions or with what he's calculating, but to at least admit that there is reason behind it helps a lot in understanding what the fuck is going on. And then you watch John Oliver, who presents himself as this extremely important information guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's
even though he's just some comedian, you know?
He's trying to keep you informed. He's trying to present to you the evidence and the facts, and they're doing all this investigative journalism. But then he goes to present Trump and his supporters like fucking retards.
Yes.
Like, he presents it like they have no idea what they're doing. Like, nothing they've done makes any sense. Like, you know, like, every week he'll slag on Trump for something, like, offhandedly, that I'm like, well, why did he do that? You know? Like, there's gotta be a reason, right? Try to understand that reason and present it to me. Don't just tell me he's a literal fucking idiot, because that can't be true.
Fuck! 1 hit killed! I was doing really good. This boss is fucking hard.
So, you know, like, at this point, I don't really fall anywhere on politics. Like, I can't pick a side because I don't trust anybody's information, you know, and I don't know what I want. Like, because ultimately, political affiliation should be about what do you want? You know, like what is the end goal you want for America? You know, like you can pick out all the individual issues and stuff, and there's some that I have, you know, I have a stance on that that's interesting that they won't summon him until the second half of the fight.
Yeah.
That's really
just to help you because it's a 2-person fight.
Yeah.
But there's things like I just wish that the left side would actually make non-condescending, informative pieces. Like
teach
when
us
I watched,
what's going on. Why do I have to go?
Yeah.
Like why do I have to go to Razor Fist? Like I have to go seek out a conservative to explain to liberals why they're doing what they're doing, because the liberal media just completely ignores it and acts like it doesn't like oh, they're just crazy. That's why they're doing what they're doing. I'm like, no one does that. No one gets elected president because they're crazy, and also so is literally half the country. We couldn't function if half of us were crazy. The whole system would fall apart if half of us were literally crazy, you know? People clearly have a reason they want this guy. There's got to be something that they're looking for, and it can't just be that 50% of the country is racist.
That's the dumbest shit.
That's insanity. Most people aren't racist. Most people I talk to aren't racist. I meet people who are conservatives all the time who aren't racist. They just don't like Obama's healthcare system, you know, or they don't want open borders, you know, like which is not necessarily a racist position. There's nuances behind it, you know.
Exactly.
So you don't have to agree with it, but understanding it is half the battle.
Yeah.
Understanding why your opponent feels the way they do, because then you can talk to them about it and convince them. John Oliver's show is always preaching to the choir.
Exactly.
There's no one's
watching it and changing their mind. That's the thing. Because this is what I've been experiencing lately. Is I'm finding documentaries like the Red Pill documentary that presented, you know, the sides of an issue and persuaded me into feeling like these guys are right. Now I'm on their side. Like, now I agree with the MRA guys, because I wasn't educated about it before, because people just treat them like they're crazy.
Yeah.
And you don't know.
We should make a distinction between Red Pill and MRA.
Well, it's like, it's still, that's the origin of Red Pill. They started it as an MRA thing. But Red Pill is not the same thing as men's rights.
Men's rights activism is defensible. Red Pill is like a weird philosophy about how you should manipulate women.
Above and beyond. But that's like pickup artistry Red Pill and not like
well, that's why you should just say MRA. But
either way,
know that that's not
a girl made a documentary about the MRA that informed me about the MRA and made me on their side. I don't see that for liberal stuff.
Yeah.
Because they assume that you're already on their side.
Well, it's 'cause
so you can't. There's no documentary I can show a conservative that's gonna make him go, yeah, you're right. Maybe you're right on these issues, because it's all bullshit like John Oliver's show that just calls them idiots. Like, how do you send somebody a video to persuade them that calls them an idiot?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Exactly.
Who the fuck? Bill Nye's show, it doesn't benefit people who already know. It's an educational show. It should be working to change people's minds and show them a new perspective, but it's calling them an idiot actively.
I mean,
it's ridiculous.
Say, for a liberal who's like Jonathan Pye, I mean, he's not going to convince any conservatives, but I think he's valuable for telling liberals what they're doing wrong. Yeah. Like, his show is definitely like preaching to liberals, but it's also criticizing them, being like, this is how you're all fucking up. This is why you're not reaching these crazy people on the other side, because you're not willing to figure out what they want. You know? And someone like Razor Fist does a great job of like, I mean, he's also calling liberals retarded, but like, he's doing a great job of presenting like why someone feels this way about this thing, and I'm like, yeah, when you put it that way, I totally get why you would think that, you know. Or Dick Masterson, who you know, doesn't even really get political that much, but when he does, he makes really good points, you know, almost in passing. Like, he'll just go on a random political rant, and you'll be like, well, shit, when you put it that way, that does make a lot of sense, you know?
And there's people with different perspectives. Like, someone who lives in California probably has a vastly different perspective on immigration than we do. Like, immigration doesn't affect us in Virginia. It fucking doesn't. Like, in terms of Mexican border immigration, it doesn't affect
all
us.
of our immigrants
If you
are
lived
Asian.
in San Francisco, it probably affects you way more. Or, not San Francisco, but San Diego and
either
LA.
one.
Well, San Francisco's way more north, I think. San Diego's, like, on the border.
Yeah, but, I mean, California, period. Yeah. It's just
It's disappointing. It's
a lack of
vastly
perspective,
disappointing.
and it's put me in a position where when a conservative is arguing their side, what I usually hear is something that like from the sources I've mentioned, I hear something that makes me go, okay, I get why you feel that way. And then when a liberal argues a side, it's, those guys are fucking retards. That's why we're right. It's because those guys are fucking retards. Because they're racists. You know? That is what they call virtue signaling.
It's just frustrating.
It is frustrating. But, you know, I can't really say, like, this is why I can't affiliate with either party.
Yeah.
Because,
And
like,
sometimes I'm like, are liberals just a bunch of stupid fucking college students who hop on the bandwagon of retarded things? Because it seems that way sometimes. You find those people, you're like, whoa! You're making us all look like idiots!
Because, and like I said before, the thing is, you really gotta pick a side based on what you want. And the question for me is, well, I don't really know what I want, and none of this really affects me. Yeah. I'm a straight white cis male in America. I've got all the luck I need, as Andrew Jackson Jihad says. Like, I don't have a battle I'm trying to fight here. Most of the shit I care about doesn't happen in America. Yeah. You know, I'm a fucking anime fan who lives in one room. I spend all my life in one fucking room, and everything around me, everything I care about, happens across the planet. You know, immigration doesn't affect me at all. I have no stance. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. You know, I live in Virginia Beach. There's no one immigrating here. It doesn't affect me. So whatever the positives or negatives are, you know, I don't have, like, I feel for people who have, like, family in other countries that they're concerned about, like, getting back and forth out of the country, but I don't have any of those, you know? Yeah. So, like, it's not my battle to fight. None of these social issues affect me. I'm disconnected. So, like, for me to pick a political side would just entirely be me, like, deciding, well, who do I feel sorry for? You know? Who do I think I want to throw my hat in to support because they seem like they're losing out, you know? And then you gotta also ask yourself, well, which is more important? Raising up the very bottom to moderate level, or raising the moderate level up to high level? Like, where do we want our society to go? Are we trying to get to the moon faster, or are we trying to get to world peace faster? You know, there's a lot of questions to be up in the air, and it's like I don't have enough things that I'm worried about to for any of this to affect me. That's it for this episode. This ran really long.
Yeah, got a little political.
A little.